everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Corner Talk. I'm Curtis.
I'm Nick.
And what are we reviewing today?
The Last Jedi.
Wow.
I only know one truth. It's time for the Jedi to end.
So, obviously, today's video is on Star Wars The Last Jedi, the newest installment in this trilogy. Now, before we do anything, spoiler warning, as we do in all our videos, we don't do spoiler-free reviews. Like, if you should see this movie, what is your answer?
Hell yes. Go see it right now, today.
Go see it right now.
Before you watch this video, pause it. We're still going to be here. Go watch it, come back, and then watch us.
Exactly. Now, getting into that as well, obviously we just saw the movie not even 12 hours ago, really.
Yeah, like maybe a little more than 12 hours.
Yeah. So, obviously, this is like our base reactions to the movies, how we felt about it upon one viewing. We haven't gotten to see it multiple times. So, obviously, it's going to be a very subjective video. As we've already seen on the internet, this movie is very divided. Mm-hmm. So, we just want that known that these are our opinions. They're not solid, that, these are like exactly how it's going to be.
We're not spouting fact.
Yeah.
We're spouting opinion and why we like the movie.
Exactly. So, getting to it, let's talk about the plot.
So, the plot is the Resistance is on the run from the First Order. The First Order has now started to take over all of the galaxy. So they're on the run. They've chased them down to this one desolate part of space, and they're out of fuel. The First Order is just waiting for them to run out so they can bomb them. Yeah. While this is going on, Rey's being trained by Luke Skywalker, and interspersed with having these little Force connection moments with Kylo Ren. It's actually quite entertaining.
Yeah, it's very good, and I think it's very well done. And obviously it proceeds from there, where she travels to see Kylo, she tries to save him, confronts Snoke, and we see how that ends.
Yeah.
And then from there it goes down back to the Resistance trying to just escape the First Order.
Yeah.
That's the main, obviously we have the main plot of Rey being trained by Luke in the conflict with Kylo, but also that the other part of the movie is about the Resistance getting away from the First Order.
Yeah.
So, we just want to do a quick plot summary, obviously.
We have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about. Obviously, we'll get into more details throughout the movie as we talk about the different characters and things like that. So it's still spoiler territory, so be careful. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about the different characters real quick and their growth and actual failures of the movie.
Yeah.
So I think we should probably start with Rey.
So, Rey picks up literally where the first one left off. And I'm actually kind of excited about that. We don't really get to see a lapse of time. Nothing's changed. Rey learns a little bit more about the Jedi Order, what it means to be a Jedi, and why Luke wants it to die. Yeah. He has quite valid reasons why he wants it to die, too, and he tries to pass that on to Rey. While Rey, through this whole thing, through this whole mentor session, is trying to convince Luke to come back.
Yeah, and that's kind of like her thing about, throughout the entirety of the movie, really, is that she's trying to pull Luke back to help them to defeat the First Order, to restore his hope, but she's also trying to pull Kylo back to become Ben Solo again, to join them to help to defeat the First Order. Mm-hmm. So that's her main point, but obviously her ultimate failure is not succeeding in getting Kylo to turn back to the light.
Yeah, and that's going to be a running theme throughout this entire movie. Is you'll see that people have clear goals that they're trying to do, and they fail at every single one of them.
Yeah, and that's very interesting. And what was so neat about it is I don't remember if I mentioned this in the Force Awakens video we did, but personally, I want Kylo to stay evil throughout the entirety of the trilogy. Mm-hmm. And the way that they were setting up right from the beginning, that he was conflicted, that maybe he was going to turn back to being good, mm-hmm. and that maybe she was the bridge to bring him back, in that, nope, it still didn't matter. Nope. He's a Sith through and through. He wants power. When he gets a chance to take the power, he takes it.
He doesn't really see himself as a Sith, though, because he says that he wants all that to die. He wants the Sith to die, the Jedi to die. He wants it all to die. He wants to be just he wants to be the supreme leader. He won't even say it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, nobody here is labeled a Sith Lord, or that they're Darth Kylo or whatever, or Darth Snoke. You're right on that. But it's just the fact that he still follows the traits of the Sith.
Traits and traditions.
Yeah, that the dark side is the easiest way, but it's an unquenchable thirst of power, and that's what we see in him.
Oh yeah,
he's filled with a lot of anger and rage, and that's what fuels his power. But that constant want of that power, and how he ultimately fails too. Like, his goal was to turn Rey to his side.
Yeah,
and he failed in that aspect.
He did. Yeah,
and. Is there anything else you want to add about Kylo?
Oh yeah, as far as Kylo's character goes, he goes from being like whiny, emo, good Anakin to like angry, I'm gonna get power, good Anakin.
Yeah.
And by good, I don't mean he turns good. I mean again, the way that Anakin was supposed to be portrayed, the way that Anakin was supposed to be seduced by power to the dark side. And I think it's more than confirmed now that he was seduced by the power of the dark side in this film. And the way that what we mean by he follows the tradition of the Sith is that he kills Supreme Leader Snoke.
Yeah.
Right there, about a third of the way through the movie.
No,
died.
it's longer than that. It's like 2/3.
About 2/3?
It's closer to the end.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's what I meant. 2/3 of the way through the movie, straight up kills Snoke.
Yeah.
And so all the air of mystery surrounding Snoke. Who is he? Could he be Darth Plagueis? No, just gone.
And that's another running theme in this movie, is that this era of mystery that The Force Awakens started, which is fine that they did, but like a lot of it just gets, as Luke did with his lightsaber, just tossed to the side.
Yeah.
And it's not because I don't think that they didn't care so much or that they wanted to break tradition. Yeah. It's just that I think a lot of that era of mystery they're saving for Episode 9. That they knew that this movie was going to do so much in a concluding way that they wanted to save those reveals for Episode 9.
In a concluding way and in a character building way.
Yeah. But it was just interesting to see that Kylo and Rey, like exactly what they were wanting to do in this movie, were exactly the same. She's wanting to pull him to the light side. He's wanting to pull her to the dark side.
Yeah.
It was very interesting that they were kind of like one and the same, especially because they have that Force connection. As we learned later, that was Snoke that did it. But they have this connection in that they see the two different perspectives.
Yeah.
But okay, so let's now move on to Poe. I think he was the next probably big character, really.
So Poe in this movie, basically, he's still the energy, but he also has these delusions of grandeur. He wants to be the next big hero, and he has to go through his own little arc of learning that you don't have to blow something up to be a hero.
Yeah. The answer isn't always going guns blazing. Because like his ultimate failure, I think, is right in the beginning of the movie.
Yes.
Where they're taking on this giant dreadnought ship, which is massive. And the whole point was he was just to distract it so the rest could get away. Well, he decides that, okay, I can take out all the top guns on top of the ship.
Well, no,
the bombers can come in and drop the bombs.
Well, actually, no. The whole plan in the beginning was to destroy it. The thing is, once all the people had evacuated the planet that they were about to bombard, Leia saw no reason to destroy the dreadnought, but Poe said, well, we don't get the chance to do this every day, we might as well finish it. It's a mission, we need to finish it.
Oh, I guess I perceived that different, because like I thought they were shocked when the dreadnought showed up. Personally, that's what I thought. But I mean, again, we only saw the movie once.
Yeah.
Again, everybody did view it different. I thought that
the whole bombing aspect was so well coordinated, it couldn't have been. And
I think you're right on that one. But either way, he made a choice, and they followed him because he's a leader. Yeah. He's not Leia leader, but he's a leader.
And what the failure is that because of his decision to follow through on this plan, every single ship, the bombers included, except for Poe and a few other X-Wings, are gone, destroyed, dead. And Poe sees it as a victory, Leia sees it as a failure. Yeah. And it takes Poe the entirety of the movie to understand why it was a failure.
Yeah, and that's what was so great about it too, with that scene itself, is that he's like, yeah, we took down one dreadnought. We don't know how many dreadnoughts are out there, but he's like, yeah, we took down one. And she's like, at what cost? You lost every single one of our bomber ships. You lost all these people's lives for one ship. And yeah, you're right. It doesn't sink in until the end when he finally has to make a choice, where it's either they come out and try to fight the First Order, or let Luke distract them long enough for them to escape.
Yeah.
So it's basically like a repeat at the very beginning. It's just that he makes the right choice the second time.
Yeah.
And so, like, again, like we talked about, like, every character has their growth in this movie, but they also have their ultimate failures. But now let's talk about Finn.
Finn, I was getting a little worried in the beginning because he started doing his old habit of running away, but in this case, he was running to save Rey. It wasn't to save himself.
No, yeah.
And that was the deciding factor for me that made me say definitively that I'm a fan of Finn. Is he's no longer the coward looking up for himself, which he wasn't really in the first one, but kind of up until he met Rey. He was just trying to get away. He was using Poe to get away.
And I agree with that too. Is that he's trying to escape because he's trying to save Rey. He doesn't want her to come back because they have the little beacon of light that Leia gave Finn or gave whoever then Finn has it now to try to save Rey. But that's his ultimate goal. This movie is to save Rey. But in doing so, he tries to leave. He gets stopped by Rose. Is it Rose or Rosa?
Rose.
It is Rose, okay. So, and they form kind of a kinship, but it's one of those things that he was so set in that he's the only one that can save her, that he's the only one that can do these things.
Yeah.
That it almost ends up costing Rose her life at the end of the movie, where he's about to sacrifice himself.
Yeah.
Unlike, everybody else that's pulling away because it's too late. The thing's about to go off. Don't be stupid.
Yeah.
And she comes in and tries to save him.
I honestly thought Finn was fully about to die.
I did too. And I was up till the moment I was okay with it.
Because his arc at that moment had been completed. He was no longer running away. He was facing things head on, and in the end, that would have been his goal, was to do something to save the Resistance, which was, again, ultimately failed. A goal that was failed. In this case, not due to Finn, but Rose making Finn fail for her own reasons. And by making Finn fail, she kind of...
Well, here's my retort to that, is that he succeeds in his arc and his growth of not running away and facing his fear by fighting Phasma and defeating her.
Yes.
That's when he completes his growth and arc of not running away from his problems. The reason why that scene is ultimately a failure for Finn is because... Yeah, obviously, he learned that he could face his fear. He's like, we're too close. We can do this. It's about he's trying to finish the mission too soon, essentially. And in that...
The other good thing about that scene, though, is you get to see the start of Finn reaching the end of his arc by deciding, you know what, it's just one thing. We don't need to blow it up. We're better served by trying to get away. So he tells them to disperse, to head back, and Finn is the one...
Oh, you're talking about Poe. You said Finn, sorry.
Sorry, Poe.
So
Poe...
You see him start hitting his arc. You're at the end of his arc.
So you see Poe hit his arc in this one by realizing that it's not worth losing all these men.
They've already lost so many.
To get this one thing. And by telling people to back off, to retreat, he learns the lesson that he didn't learn in the beginning of the movie. Finn takes on the role of Poe in that particular scene, where he literally does what Poe does in the beginning and switches off Poe as Poe switched off Leia in the beginning.
Yeah. My thing is that, because obviously, Finn completed the arc of not backing down, but I think he took it too much to heart, which is why he was about to sacrifice himself and ultimately almost cost Rose her life to save him. And that's why he fails, is because he learned his lesson, but he didn't, I guess it's hard to, I guess the way...
He overcompensated.
Yeah, he's overcompensating.
Yeah.
So there's still more that he needs to learn.
Definitely.
He still needs to finish his arc, or at least a more trilogy arc. But for that movie, he completed it, but took it too far.
Yeah.
And almost cost himself and Rose her life.
Yeah.
I guess the next one is maybe Leia.
Leia, as little of as she still plays a small role in the movie, just like she did in The Force Awakens, but her role is actually slightly bigger in this one. She's unconscious through about 2/3 of the movie. She's the reason why Poe's rebellion, his mutiny on the carrier ship, fails.
Yeah.
Because her walking in basically catches him so off guard that she has to slowly explain to him why I can't remember her name. I'm going to call her pink hair. Purple hair was doing was ultimately the right thing to do. And once he gets it, he's like, oh, makes a lot of sense. That could work.
Yeah.
But Leia's failure is once they get on the planet that they're trying to escape to, her failure is that she sends out a signal. It's her personal signal to try and get rebellion allies.
Yeah.
Resistant allies to come to their aid. And it's confirmed that people are hearing it.
But nobody's showing up.
But no one's coming. Yeah. So that's her failure.
Yeah, okay. So that makes sense. For me personally, though, like, this might get me a little bit of hate on the internet,
Mhm.
but when it comes to Leia, I understand, like, she does serve one or two more important roles, like, throughout the movie, like, being the one that stops Poe's mutiny so that they can still try to escape.
She's the whole catalyst for Poe's complete character arc.
Yeah. It's just that, and that obviously, like, we get that nice moment between Luke and Leia at the end.
Yeah.
It was just that personally, like, when I watched the movie, by the time it was done, I think, like, if she had, when they blew up the ship or the cockpit and she flew into space, before she force-pulled herself back, I thought that, you know, if she had died there, that would have been fine. Like, that, obviously, it wouldn't have been the most ceremonious death for her, but that her message still would have gotten across the same way. They still could have resolved the mutiny to where eventually Purple Hair explains what she's doing, because that's the whole reason why Poe started the mutiny against her, because she wasn't telling them anything.
Yeah.
Leia was more open about things, especially to Poe, because she trusted him. This lady maybe didn't trust Poe as much.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why she didn't. Because obviously other officers knew what the plan was.
Yeah.
But Poe didn't. And I think that could have been the ultimate lesson of that Leia could have taught him, is that, you know, not being so headstrong, but you have to have that hope of, like, people and why they're put in charge for a reason.
Yeah.
And that ultimately, that Poe, once he's put in charge, that people are going to listen to him because they're leaders for a reason. They've done the things, they've been there.
Yeah.
So I just think that her ultimate story for him still could have been achieved without her using the Force to pull herself back. I know that was a cool scene, and it finally confirms that she knows how to use the Force.
Yeah.
I just think that you still could have accomplished the same thing without her somehow surviving in space and bringing herself back.
You could have. I agree you could have, but what my point of contention is, I don't think it would have been near as well
done. It would have been a little bit harder.
Yeah. Like I said, Leia was the catalyst to everything, not only for Poe, but for Purple Hair. They both had lessons to learn.
No, I know.
Poe more so, but still, Leia was the whole reason why Poe was learning what he did.
Yeah, and I understand that. And that's why, like, it was just one of those things that was my initial reaction to it. Again, that's why it's all subjective. Everyone has their own opinions. And then again, it was a cool scene to see that she does know how to use the Force.
Yep.
But I always felt like everybody knew that she did. Again, like, she felt
my whole thing was that I always knew that she was Force sensitive.
Yeah.
It caught me off guard because I never thought that she was actually trained in the way of the Force, and the way that I see it, that seemed like a high level Jedi maneuver that she pulled off in some way, which I would assume you would need a massive amount of training, and maybe Luke trained her on the side. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
we'll figure that out later. Or they might explain it. They
might
not.
Nonetheless, it was a really cool scene.
Yeah. Snoke's failure is that Kylo kills him. He
failed to see the true intentions of what Kylo was doing.
He's sitting there talking to Rey about how he can see into Kylo's mind, and that his mind is made up, and that he's gonna pull out the lightsaber and slay her, but instead he slays him. To
a sense, Snoke was right, because Kylo was never going to turn away from the dark side.
Yeah.
But he just couldn't see who his true target was.
Yeah. And that was a really cool scene, and not expected either, when all of a sudden it finally turns and it turns on, and he's like, what? And then Kylo just pulls the lightsaber back to him and just cuts the rest of the way through.
And then Rey catches it.
No, Kylo caught it, not Rey. Kylo caught it.
No, it was Rey.
Was it Rey?
Yeah, because you see the hand coming from the ground and it's Rey's
yeah, I think you're right. Again, I'm probably going to see this movie like 3 more times, to be fair.
Probably more than that, to be honest.
So let's get on to, I guess, our biggest one is Luke.